Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to another Socially Sound episode. I'm Kirsty.
And I'm Sarah.
So, for today's episode, we are going to be talking about deaf representation. So, what we mean by that is on TV, social media, etc. Should we always support deaf people when they're represented? So, we're going to talk about that and what we think.
I say no.
Mm-hmm.
There's a word that's been used very often, especially recently. Intersectionality. Intersectionality. There's different signs. But that word, so just to define it really quickly, it's different factors that develop your identity basically. So I'm deaf, yes, but the first thing you see is me being black, a woman, deaf. So I'm a black deaf woman. So when I see a lot of representation on TV, often, yeah, it could be a woman, but it's a white woman. Or it's a man, but I'm a woman. So it's very nuanced because sometimes what they represent doesn't match what I represent. And yes, because they're deaf, but what did that mean for them? So you have a lot of deaf people supporting oralism, who support hearing devices, etc. It can not align with people's values and their ideologies of being deaf.
Right.
So if we think recently, let's say Strictly, we had Rose, who was beautiful. She represented sign language. She was great, but at the same time, she's white. So I don't always fit with her. And I think her impact was it because she was a white woman with a nice figure? But if it was a black person, would the impact have been the same? If the person wasn't slim but bigger, would people have still seen them the same way? Like, there's a different impact of whoever is representing the deaf community. But also, we've spoken about this, but the Americanization of deaf representation as well. A lot of people see deaf Americans as the standard, but they don't see other countries, other nationalities, and again, black deaf people. There's a lot of racism rooted in deafness as well. So we can't always support the representation that we see, especially if we know the background and the history of the person. So a lot of people I see represented on TV, I know their background, I know their personality behind the scenes, and I'm very suspicious. I'm like,
I agree. Like, you know the show called Dancing with the Stars, I think? Years ago, Chris Fonseca was on that show. But
oh, yes.
was it widely talked about on the same level as Rose on Strictly? There was not much. So you're right, like, what if there's a deaf person that's represented and they have completely different views or we completely disagree with them, but people think we should still support them just because they're deaf? No. We're all not just deaf. We have different identities, lived experiences. So, to sum up, no, we shouldn't have to support all deaf people. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that represent the deaf community, I'm always having a conversation with hearing people. So I'm an audiologist. A lot of my patients are like, oh, you're deaf as well. Oh, Rose was beautiful, wasn't she? Why is that the first topic you think of when you're speaking to me as a deaf person? I'm an audiologist. Some patients are always asking, oh, are you in audiology because you're deaf yourself? Tell me about that. That means they're interested. But when they're like, oh yeah, what do you think of Rose? Oh, Rose was beautiful, wasn't she? But Rose isn't the only deaf person. She's not the only role model that we have. Like Chris Fonseca.
So many.
Like, Dancing with the Stars, not many people that he was even on that show.
No.
And that's another question as well. We have a lot of deaf dancers, a lot of deaf artists, a lot of deaf professionals in the medical field. But you don't know these people because of what was shown on TV, what we're promoting on TV. And again, hearing devices, there's a lot of attention at the moment on hearing devices, but nothing on BSL, nothing on interpreters, nothing on accommodations and accessibility. Implants, that's it. Hearing aids, that's it. Oralism, that's it.
That.
Like, so every time that a deaf person was showing, what are they representing? Are they representing that deafness of the spectrum, or is it something more personal to them? And then that shows the divide in the deaf community, supporting that person. Yes, we love the deaf person, but what are they representing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, one really good example, Maths, Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight.
They have a deaf person on there, and which is great. But I noticed, like, the editing. So, like, for example, the experts are sat, and then the deaf person is, like, watching, and you can tell that there's an interpreter there, but the way they've edited it, they haven't shown the interpreters, and it looks like he's just lip reading, and it's obvious he's not. So, like that, it's good that we have deaf people on screen, but we don't have them behind the scenes. There's no consultations, and if it was me, I would have said no, let's show the interpreters, because it makes hearing people think, oh wait, he can talk, but he's still using an interpreter.
Yeah, there's no authenticity.
There's so many, exactly.
Like, to piggyback onto that example, why edit it to make it look like it's lip reading? What does that prove?
Magically lip reading?
Yeah,
No.
like, obviously deaf people don't like when the emphasis is on the interpreter, but you can still show that there's an interpreter present. Like, talking about Rose, she did a presenting job with the presenter, didn't she? And before even, like, doing the show, she said, oh, I have an interpreter here, I have someone here, and showed these are my needs and these are how they've been accommodated. You can see it's authentic. I'm deaf, I still struggle with these things. This is what helps me do my job. So why would you not show that?
Exactly.
Like, why is it one person allowed to do that, but the other person on Maths, you're making it seem like they're lip reading everything? I haven't watched it, but I've seen TikToks where he's missing out conversation, missing out jokes because he's still waiting for the interpreter to interpret that for him. Show that. Like, show how his needs are being accommodated. Don't make it seem like he's lip reading magically and understands everything. And the discrimination on there was terrible. A lot of people saying, oh, I can't understand what he's saying, like, making jokes about it. And it's like, really?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, they matched him with someone that knows sign language, but just because a hearing person knows sign language doesn't mean that they're compatible with a deaf person. No. If I met a hearing person that knew sign language, okay, but do we align? No. So bye.
They're not ready for that conversation. But yeah, anyways. So this is just a conversation just to say that not every deaf person that you can support. A lot of deaf people are out there doing beautiful things, amazing things, but it's not promoted on TikTok, on TV, stuff like that. And it's really annoying every time you put someone on TV. You can see the difference between a black person and a white person. You can see the impact is different, and you can see how the audience receives that person. So again, Rose was amazing, but no one's really talking about Tasha at the moment. Like, it's very little. And obviously Tasha was on Love Island as well, but that experience was very nuanced as well. And it's interesting how hearing people see deafness and how they react to what's on TV and how they have that conversation about deaf people when they meet deaf people. Again, our first conversation is, oh, Rose, but nothing about Tasha, nothing about Love Island. Like, Chris Fonseca, again, no one talked about him, even though it was a while ago. And funny enough, Rose wasn't the first deaf person on Strictly, but no one knows that. So it's just interesting to see how people receive deaf representation.
Yeah.
And then if we talk about the BSL Act,
Like, what's happening?
crickets. So, but intersectionality, lived experiences, what did that person really stand for?
Community dynamics as well. The deaf community is so small. We know each other well, and like we'll know about previous situations that we'll remember. So there's a lot that you have to consider when a deaf person is represented, and it's like nuanced, really.
Oh, I need to talk about Raven from The Circle.
Yeah.
See, this is an example in real time. I didn't even talk about Raven. She's the black deaf woman. She's American, but she did amazing. But do you see the difference? I'm talking about Rose, but I'm not talking about Raven. Raven does amazing. She does amazing things. She's an interpreter. She does so many different things going on. And you just won't talk about it. But Raven, I love her. Oh, but we have Deaf You on Netflix. Can we really take that as full deaf representation? So,
that show was.
But we're not ready for that conversation.
Yeah.
We're not ready for that conversation. But yeah, it's just.
To sum up, no, we don't need to support all deaf people that are represented. It's up to yourself, and also recognise those things that we talked about.
Yeah. Make sure you understand the person. Obviously, everyone is their own person, but when it comes to celebrities, you don't know everything about their lives. But watch what they do on social media. Understand behind the scenes, like, understand for yourself if they're actually a person you should be supporting and see as a role model for the deaf community.
Yes. Great. I hope you've kind of like learnt more about this topic.
Tea. Well, thank you for watching our podcast.
Make sure you subscribe,
Like,
comment,
and share.
spread it out.
I'm coming for you. Bye.
Bye.